I'd like to introduce Jamie Simon and Sandra Kwak, who are co-founders of Powerzoa. You can clap for them. It's okay.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, testing.
Thank you for having us here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to all the members of Launch and Diane and Victor and John for all their help in getting here, and to all the other innovators. It's been great meeting you. My name is Jamie Simon, and I'm a co-founder of Powerzoa. Prior to working on Powerzoa, I was with Red Bull Energy Drink for 10 years. I was a part of the original Launch team there, and eventually worked my way into starting the first ever sustainability department at Red Bull, and left there when we were selling 1.6 billion cans to work on Powerzoa.
My name is Sandra Kwak, co-founder of Powerzoa. Prior to founding Powerzoa, I worked at PG&E. I was also CEO of a software company, and I founded and directed an arts nonprofit. Do you know what the #1 contributor to CO2 emissions is in this country? Well, here's a hint. Buildings. 40% of all carbon dioxide emissions come from buildings. Not to mention that 70% of the electricity generated in this country is consumed by buildings. That is growing in the corporate sector at 1.8% per year. This is a problem that is spiraling out of control. For facilities managers, it's important to reduce consumption in buildings, obviously because costs are rising. For utilities, it's important because we have growing demand. And in order to stabilize our national grid security and prevent brownouts and blackouts, it's important that we enact demand response and peak pricing programs. And finally, the reason why all of us should care about rising electricity is because global warming is a growing problem. We need to prevent natural disasters like the flooding that's happening in Thailand right now. So why not start with an easy solution? Let's talk about waste.
So annually, $15 billion a year are wasted on what's called vampire energy, when things are plugged into wall sockets but not in use. This is equivalent to 451 million cars worth of emissions. Just imagine if every person in the United States eliminated 1.5 cars. That's the amount of emissions we would reduce by eliminating vampire power in this country. If we boil it down to a micro perspective from an energy manager's point of view, when they're managing their electricity use, they're looking at 3 components. Their HVAC, their heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, their lighting. And the last little darling of energy management, the unmet portion, is plug load. Like I said, anything plugged into wall sockets. The more efficient buildings become with HVAC and lighting, the larger the percentage of problem that plug load becomes. This is why Powerzoa felt that this is the place where we should enter the market.
So in designing our products, we went out and we actually conducted interviews and surveys of over 200 customers. We observed their patterns around electricity and waste. We came up with these specs designed on exactly what our customers stated the problem was. Customers said that they needed hardware to physically turn off equipment. They also needed software, web-enabled software, so that they could do it easily with a comprehensive look at their organization. And in the web application, the third component, we really found a place to innovate, not just make a faster horse or a better mousetrap.
So Powerzoa is the ideal solution. This is a smart grid play. We will be the energy management for, the fleet management for appliances, the go-to control center for energy management. There's 3 parts to our system. There's a hardware component that controls and monitors the energy. There's a software component that's a cloud-based subscription program. And then a back-end data analysis that all the data comes into, gets smarter over time, and then provides information to energy managers so they can make smarter decisions on how they use their energy. We'll save our customers money in 3 ways: by eliminating the flow of energy to appliances that are not in use during non-operational hours, by creating cycles throughout the day, balancing peak loads, and by enabling participation in programs with the utilities such as demand response and rebates and subsidies. Our goal is to save our customers time and money, reduce their kilowatt usage, and lower their carbon footprint.
Here's a quick look at what the industry looks like today. We left out the residential customer. There are plenty of public competitors there, but we've found a very different set of needs in the corporate marketplace. You can see that the space is filling up quickly. However, what we've found is that solutions out there are very fragmented. We may have an HVAC control system or an IT power monitoring system, but for a facilities manager with many accounts to check every single day, people calling them when a light bulb goes out, I'm too cold, I'm too hot, they want a single interface that covers all of their problems. This is where Powerzoa enters the market. we not only give you a comprehensive look at your entire building's electricity use across your entire organization so you can see exactly where all your power is going, we give you control all the way down to the outlet level. Basically, we're the fingers at the end of an energy manager's arm.
So what you're seeing here is our entry point solution. This is what we've created today. This is what we're testing in several accounts right now. This is the Powerzoa cube, what you see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. This cube goes between the wall outlet and the appliance. All of these cubes make up a wireless mesh network using industry-preferred Zigbee. The information travels through the appliance, through the Zoa cube, to a Powerzoa bridge using our unique protocols. The information then travels through the cloud back into our database, which is a virtuous system, meaning it gets smarter over time. Then all the information comes to a user interface that the energy manager can then look at the real-time energy flow to their energy going to their appliances, and then start to make decisions around how they're going to control and use their energy a little bit differently. For example, they could start setting it on timers, eliminating the flow during non-operational hours. Let's take a closer look at our control center.
Put yourself in the shoes of a facilities manager. You log into your Powerzoa interface. We give you real-time information about your electricity consumption and exactly where it's going, as well as historic reports. You can select to see those reports any way that you choose. You can look at your specific industry, you can look at appliances within that industry, and we can aggregate all of that data, making recommendations for more efficient behavior based on your personalized usage patterns in comparison to the rest of the nation. We also have controls. So you can assign different permissions levels to people within the organization. So for example, I could give controls to every single employee for their own personal workstation, and we could host a competition, gamification, or we could have accounting versus HR, who can reduce more electricity. So this really creates a relationship between the end user and their consumption, making energy efficiency not just fun, but also really attractive.
So here's a couple examples of some reports that can be generated, and also how you can start to capture your data. What you're seeing here are two appliances that most offices have, a coffee maker and a printer. The top graph shows a 24-hour snapshot of a coffee maker. The spikes are when the coffee maker is in use. The lower lines when the coffee maker is plugged in but not in use. And as you can see, the little spikes, it's continually heating the water. How you would use Powerzoa is you would schedule the appliance to turn off during the times, the lower lines, eliminating about 80% of the energy going to this appliance. And the second snapshot is of a coffee maker showing the days. And you can see it's not being used on Sundays. This particular account works on Saturdays, so they would shut the flow off all the way on Sundays.
We have a whole suite of products in our feature pipeline. Starting with the cube here at the bottom, we currently have 100 that are manufactured and that are out in the field being tested. And we could really use your help in steering our development to make sure that we're going to have the most cost-effective solutions in the places where they make the most sense. Further on down our channels, we have the Zoa PC, which we're working on for personal workstation controls. We also have inline equipment for heavy machinery so that we can turn it on and off, things like hot water heaters, those really inefficient devices that are using electric energy to create delta and therms. We're working with partners right now for the lighting and HVAC components. And what's interesting is that while a lot of facilities are spending really high capital expenditures on lighting and HVAC retrofits, a lot of times they don't actually know how much that they're saving. So we're working with lighting and HVAC companies to actually count up all those savings, aggregate the savings, report them out, and make recommendations on how to optimize their systems. Powerzoa pulls all of this information facility-wide in through our bridge router, where it can also be aggregated with smart meter information and existing legacy systems, such as Modbus and BACnet. We send all that to the cloud where it's analyzed, and then we push it back out to the customer in the forms of infographics that can be displayed on a dashboard in a lunchroom or in a lobby. We also have, of course, a mobile app. We have reports that can be used externally for compliance with governance, such as benchmarking. The reports can also be used internally to C-level employees or externally to shareholders to improve corporate social responsibility and environmental social governance. And finally, the most important component are the controls. Using the controls, the facilities manager not only can save money within their organization, but they can also participate in demand response programs, helping to stabilize power across the grid. Powerzoa is going to maintain our market edge through 3 buckets. The first is technology. We have a patent pending on our proprietary protocol, which is stored within our bridge router. Next, We're positioning ourselves for industry alignment with some of the large players out there who already have a lot of customers within our market space, such as Honeywell and GE. Also, we're strategically aligning with utilities that will be very helpful in getting our product out to market. Finally, our virtuous systems get smarter and smarter over time. So the more appliances and the more accounts that we have hooked up to the Powerzoa system, the better we're going to be able to tailor your recommendations. We'll actually be able to sense in the future what type of appliance that you have plugged in and make the recommendation on the most energy efficient type of that appliance that there is out there. These are our initial market segments that we'll be targeting. Now, of course, savings are available in every single segment. However, these are where we found the biggest market opportunity. The percentages on the top are the amount of electricity that are being dedicated towards plug load use. And currently in our beta accounts, we're finding that we can save between 40 and 50% of that amount.
In an effort to figure out exactly where to enter the market, we've been out there working with customers. We've been doing energy audits, figuring out what is the percentage of plug load against industrial equipment, against HVAC and lighting. And we also have several beta test locations. Currently, we're installed in 2 places. LA Center Studios, which is a 20-acre movie studio in downtown Los Angeles. Movies like Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Mad Men are being filmed there. We strategically chose them because the owner of LA Center Studios is also the founder of Greenhouse Holdings, who's a major player in smart grid technologies. And the second beta location is in Monterey, California, where our product's being manufactured. Where we've installed the system, we're finding an average of between 40 and 50% savings, which is telling us a lot about where we need to enter the market. So how can Powerzoa offer benefit to our customers? We're priced for immediate payback. We want our customers to feel an immediate return on the investment. We're still working through our pricing model, and that's one of the things that we'd like to get to work together on this weekend. As it stands right now, we're thinking about charging a 5% of the total energy bill for the initial install, covering the cost of our hardware. After that, the contract will dictate a percentage of shared savings with the customer. Above and beyond the direct savings by using the system, we will enable our customers to participate in programs with the utilities, such as demand response. The way demand response is happening right now, this is a program to help balance loads in the marketplace, is that the utility will send a notification to the customer, and then the customer will have to, through a text or an email or a phone call, and the customer will literally have to go around and manually turn things off. By automating this system, Powerzoa is enabling our customers, anywhere that they have access to the internet, to remotely, with a one-click, turn things off to balance their load. Additionally, we'll enable our customers to qualify for rebates, subsidies, tax credits, as well as Energy Star ratings and LEED points. Ultimately, it's our goal to help our customers save 20% on their total energy bill by offering more intelligent energy management.
The way that we're pre-qualifying customers is based on their electricity bills. We're looking for facilities that pay $200,000 a year or more in electricity bills. A lot of our customers are coming through the pipeline through partner organizations that currently have established bases of large corporate facilities, but we'll also be supplementing a portion of that with Powerzoa direct sales. As we move into phase 2, you can see that the bulk of our revenues will actually come from Powerzoa upgrades, so working with the customers that we already have to usher them along the path to further sustainability measures. However, we still will be intaking a portion of customer leads from our partners. Our phase 1 is to really get into the market and gain traction quickly. Phase 2 is going to be scaling our solution and finding new market verticals that can benefit from our system. And finally, in phase 3, we'll have carved a role in the smart grid.
So what can we all work on together? In an effort to figure out where we should enter the market, like I mentioned, we're looking for beta test locations. We'd like to tap into your network to see if you have some ideal beta test locations.
Exactly. If you have a facility that Powerzoa might benefit from, we want to hear about it. Next, we're looking for utility partnerships and subsidies. So this is going to be really integral in helping to provide rebates to our customers to make our product even more cost-effective than it already is, and also to help get our product out there. We're looking for utility support and distribution.
We want to be the go-to organization for utilities across the country. Additionally, we're recruiting software developers. So if you know somebody who wants to work for a very cool, fun company, please send them to us.
And finally, in order for us to move into mass manufacture and achieve economies of scale, we're going to need a little bit of capital. So any access to grants or funding is much appreciated. Now, you've already met Jamie and I. We're very thankful to have 2 other excellent members on our team. Kendall Lane has a background in software development. He's been working with Learning Tree International for over 15 years, providing software solutions for large corporations. And Phil Lembo is owner of Cyber Data, which is an OEM manufacturing company in Monterey, California. They sell about 1 million products a year in the hardware space. And in closing,
so Powerzoa is starting with a simple system, expanding to a global audio. Expanding out to global scalable systems. By creating these solutions, we hope to secure our national power grid by lowering our carbon footprint, by providing cleaner air, and by creating a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Wow, so who here is ready to give up their car? Because half of you have to give up 2, right? I think we need another round of applause for 2 innovators who aren't asking us to give anything up. So we've got about 15 minutes for questions. You guys know what types of questions to ask. We can get more questions in if we ask them quickly. Laura?
Sure. So, you guys covered a lot in that presentation, and one of the challenges that you identified is that the existing competitors and companies out there that are doing similar things are quite siloed. And part of the reason for that is that integration to the, particularly the HVAC system. Is it off? Okay. Sorry. So can you talk a little bit more about where you actually plan to start with a customer and how you work them through your value chain going forward?
so what we're finding right now is that there may be some HVAC solutions that are out there, but really what's missing right now in the market is a plug-level solution. So that's where we really see the entry point, and we're working with HVAC companies right now who are looking to supplement their current offering. So a lot of times they'll have a service contract with a customer, and they'll be also looking to upgrade their customers and provide additional service offerings. So that's where we see our partnerships integrating with HVAC.
Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for a good presentation, an insightful one. One quick comment I'd make to other presenters is, if you have a presentation, can you kindly leave the slide which shows what you're asking for up during the Q&A period? It just helps to focus questions. I think it would help us all. So 2 quick questions. One is, it wasn't really clear to me what the technology is that enables you to do this, and it didn't seem to really come out. What is the uniqueness of the technology? How are you developing it? Who's allowing you to do so? So any brief comment on that would be insightful. The other thing is, how do you see your service-based, subscription-based model evolving, or for that matter, competing with other companies that are in the market which are providing solutions that effectively companies are taking on the actual energy management with software that they're managing and running themselves. So as opposed to paying a split on savings, they're actually just paying upfront for the software, so it's a greater cost of entry, but then they have it and they're running it themselves, theoretically having unlimited upside, which they keep for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Okay, so part 1, our technology starts out with a simple piece of hardware that goes in between the appliance or device and the power supply. Those communicate on a wireless Zigbee mesh network. They communicate via our proprietary protocol, which is sent to a bridge router. And the protocol is really the magical piece of information, because the router can intake any piece of energy equipment information and then send it to the backend database where it's processed and then pushed back out to the customer. We already have all the hardware manufactured thanks to our partner, Phil Lembo. His firm Cyber Data has sponsored the development of our hardware, and basically, given that he has 1 million products that he manufactures every year, he's taken our technology risk down to 0. The second portion of your question, not as easy as a softball, but basically what you're asking is, how do we compete with other people's price models? We've taken a pretty good look at the software-hardware blended model, and essentially what energy managers make decisions on right now is sad but true, simple payback and simple ROI. So in order to achieve that first hurdle, in order to get a foot in the door and show that our product has a good ROI, we wanted it to fit into an operating expenditure as opposed to a CapEx. So we wanted to make sure that we can ensure immediate savings to the customer. And actually, we're pretty confident in our energy savings, so the split savings incentive not only causes them to get an immediate yes of approval, and in a lot of portions, in a lot of facilities, they can actually approve it within their own budget. They don't even have to go up to C-level employees to approve it. And also, we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to profit off of this as well. Now, if it turns out that it is more attractive to have a simple upfront contract, we will do that on a case-by-case basis. But really, as we're going into the market, this is a big question that we're trying to solve.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of insight into this conversation, so we'd love to get your advice throughout the weekend.
What is the actual cost of the little box and the software? Do you do it per square foot or per square foot of facility, or how do you do that? And the second question, on competition, this is a very crowded space. Lots of people do this. Lots of big companies do this. So who is the competition, number one? And number two, how much intellectual property do they have in this space?
Okay, I'll handle the first one. But to clarify your question, are you asking what is the cost to us or what is the cost to the customer? The cost to us right now, because we're hand building our plugs, is $60 a plug, which is, and if we mass manufacture these, we can get them down to between $25 and $30 a plug. The bridges are costing $250 per bridge, but we're also hand building those. However, we're finding ways to reinvent the hardware already. So the next product we have, we can install 4 appliances per plug, bringing the price down to about $7 per appliance, which means these plugs will be, the price will go up a little bit per plug, but then we'll attach 4 appliances to them. So that's the cost of the hardware, what it's costing.
On the IP front, as we mentioned, we have a patent pending on our entire system. We also have a proprietary protocol for our bridge router. And what differentiates us at this point from our competition is that we are the first with a complete solution. So we're out there, we're getting to market quickly. We have a full feature set that a lot of other companies don't. And really, within the corporate market, once you have a PO, there's pretty high switching costs. So we're trying to get to market quickly and establish barriers to competition.
Just to follow up on that, after speaking with you last night, we'll probably be applying for a lot more patents. Yeah, looking for your help there. So.
I'm going to limit myself to one question. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys this afternoon. Very good presentation. I have a product safety question. It may have been buried in the presentation and or in your plan, but I'd be very curious along the lines of addressing the logistical issues of, we all know about extension cords and power strips and how often they're used, particularly in office building settings, and that generates often a fire safety issue. So have you all thought about the issues around putting yet another box between an appliance and the wall, and whether eventually you're going to need to change the form factor so that you can bury the stuff behind the wall? And how soon is that going to happen, and where are you with UL listing?
So as Sandra mentioned, Phil Lembo, who's the owner of CyberData, has pretty much brought our risk very low, because this is what he's done for 37 years. So we've talked to him about the safety, and the product is built up to code for UL and FCC. And once we receive our funding, that's the first thing we'll be doing, is getting certification. And in terms of putting it behind the wall, for new construction, that's exactly where it should go. The same technology can go in front of the wall or behind the wall, not only for safety, but also for aesthetics. And of course, we'd like to get there sooner than later.
Great. That was all we have now for questions, but we'll have the whole afternoon to discuss it a little further. So thank you guys very much again. One more round of applause.